Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Harvey Media Discusses Things, or whatever the name of the show is. So yeah, I've been gone for a couple of weeks. I did record videos, I just never uploaded them. I'll upload them as time goes on. I was just kind of busy. But big things are happening this week. It's Doctor Who 50th week upcoming. So I'm going to be releasing a lot more videos this week than usual. Excuse me. I'm going to be releasing a lot more videos this week than usual just to celebrate Doctor Who. And for right now, before we get to that, I just wanted to review a movie that I just saw last night. It's the big movie this weekend and from last weekend, so it's been out for a while. People have discussed it a little bit, but this is my thoughts. Thor: The Dark World. I just saw this movie, and probably not. This is probably going to be a very short video because I just loved every minute of that movie. I thought it was fantastic. The amount of things that went right in this movie, and it's hard for me to actually put it into words, but let's see, what are the categories that, well, let's compare it to the last superhero movie I saw in theaters, Man of Steel. I just loved slamming that movie, but let's look at all the different categories that movie went wrong with, that Thor: The Dark World went right with. Alright, so, building a universe. Obviously, this is Phase 2 of Marvel's Cinematic Universe, and they've done a lot of good stuff with so far, and I was a little bit nervous because I haven't seen Iron Man 3 yet, or anything of that. I was a little bit nervous about how this movie and this Phase 2 was going to match up to the rest of the phases, to the Phase 1, and how good it was going to be. But in this movie, they did a fantastic job. They had the post-credits sequence. They had two post-credit sequences. One which was a post-credit sequence after the closing sequence. Like there used to be opening sequences, but now they put the opening sequences at the end of the movie. That sequence, the closing sequence, is all I know what to call it. I don't really know what to call it, but they had like one bit after that, which was their universe building bit, which had Benicio del Toro, I believe it was him anyway, spoilers by the way, collecting, the big weapon for the film is ether, the element that was supposed to make up the universe in ancient science, ether, which is apparently now a weapon designed by Christopher Eccleston, the dark elf villain of the film. It's the weapon that he uses throughout most of the film, and then they collect it at the end of this movie and give it to this guy played by Benicio del Toro, I believe, called the Collector, and he collects it and keeps it, and because they're like, well, we already have the big blue thing from the Avengers. The Tesseract. We already have the Tesseract back on Asgard, and if we have this next to the ether on our home world, that could create a problem because the ether is another Infinity Stone, and we don't want to have them too close together. So obviously they're building up to the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. I don't know much about the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, but I know that that's a thing. And that's the big thing Thanos is known for, who's the villain that they revealed at the end of the Avengers. So, good job universe building, and it turns out that this creepy collector guy might not be as far on the up and up as we originally thought he was. And I mean, he's played by Benicio del Toro. I'm surprised that they weren't suspicious, but you know, they should have been because he's not exactly on the up and up. As far as not just universe building, but like actually helping along the story of the main characters in the film, it did a fantastic job. I was afraid from a lot of the marketing and a lot of the buzz on the internet that this film was going to be more, excuse me, this film was going to be more Loki's film than Thor's film, and thank God, no, it was not. This film was still very much Thor's movie, but at the same time, they did give Loki a good amount of screen time to really develop his character and to develop his storyline. There was a lot of rumor going around about this film about people going to die. A lot of people thought that Natalie Portman's character was going to die. A lot of people thought Loki's character was going to die. I didn't know who's going to die. I just knew someone was going to die. And someone does die. I already said spoiler alert, so I could technically just tell you, but I'm not going to, but I will say it is a good death scene. But I will tell you, because again, spoiler alert, Loki does not die. They do pretend that he dies. But I have to say, all the plot twists in this movie I did see coming. I saw coming a mile away, but they still made sense. Like, the twists made sense, and they were very well done. I have just seen way too many of these movies in my lifetime, so I completely saw them coming. But I thought they did they were very good. Thor is represented very well. He is dumb. Thor, as a character, the character is dumb. That's part of his charm, is that he's not the brightest, but he still manages to use his intelligence a lot more in this movie than he did in the last movie, where the last movie was very much more of a rawr thing. To this movie, he's a little bit more guile. He gets to use his intelligence a little bit more. He's much smarter in this movie, and I appreciated that. I'm glad that we see some character growth from him, and Loki noticed it too. There's a lot of moments where Thor tricks even Loki, and Loki was like, "You lied to me, brother. I'm impressed," And the relationship between Thor and Loki in this film is so good, even when they hate each other the most. They completely sell me on the idea that they're brothers. They are so brothers. Their relationship is so strong. Every minute, it's so the relationship between Thor and Natalie Portman's character was beautiful. Their chemistry really worked well, and their romance really worked well. And I mean, to be fair, Natalie Portman's character is not the strongest, but their relationship still works out. I mean, the human world versus the Asgardian world, the balance of those two worlds in the original was a little bit off, but the balance in this movie, the balance is a lot better done, and I think the convergence between the different dimensions as a plot point was great, and it created a wonderful fight scene at the end. The villains were awesome. Christopher Eccleston made a great villain. The makeup work was fantastic on him and his big scary friend, and then they had all of his troops had these like Michael Myers white face masks on that really made them quite terrifying, actually, when they went into battle. They had this great effect of a grenade that, instead of exploding things, imploded them, which they did a great job with that special effects. And just, this has become an establishing a fantasy world, whereas in Man of Steel, again, comparing it to Man of Steel created a fantasy world in Krypton, but didn't actually create anything useful or practical or anything that made sense. This fantasy world, as they continued to develop it, it was already an awesome fantasy world in Thor 1, but as they continue to develop it in this film, and they just continue to grow it and explore it, I said in the theater, and I mean it, in terms of movies I've seen, this has become my favorite fantasy world since Lord of the Rings. Like, I love Middle-earth, is like my main reason why I love the Hobbit movies, no matter how inaccurate they are to the books, is that I just love seeing movies in that world, and the more movies they put out that occur in that world, I will always love them because I just love watching that stuff. Same deal with this. The Thor movies, I love the stories that occur in this world. I love these characters. I love how they're developing. They are so powerful, so strong, so well developed, and I cannot get over how good the characters, the story, the action, everything in this movie hit exactly the right bit. The action was brilliant, the comedy was hilarious, the characters were well developed. I've said all this before. The problem is, I think the reason why I'm having such a hard time handling this right now is because I haven't seen something like this in a long time. Last movie I saw in theaters was Man of Steel, which failed on every level that this movie succeeds at. And I think, yeah, I am not used to seeing a movie in theaters where I just completely lose myself in it and have nothing bad to say on my way out. It was brilliant. And just Batman, the Dark Knight franchise, this guy, it's over, and Marvel is now secure in the throne. They have the big superhero franchise, because now all of their franchises are one franchise, with the exception of X-Men and Spider-Man, which will be joining the fold eventually, I'm sure. And it's just beautiful and brilliant and awesome, and I just can't. I just can't. I can't. It's just beautiful and brilliant and awesome, and I recommend everyone go out to see it. I have not seen Iron Man 3 yet. I've heard bad things and I've heard good things. I'm going to go out and see it soon. And I, personally, the movie that I am looking forward to the most out of Phase 2 is Captain America 2. Because Captain America: The First Avenger was a fantastic movie that I loved, and Captain America: Winter Soldier looks absolutely nothing like it. And that is very cool to me. I think that a movie sequel that does something like that, that goes so completely the opposite of the original movie, is something that not enough movies do, and I'm glad that this movie is going there. The greatest sequel of all time, in my opinion, is Aliens. Aliens. And because Aliens is virtually nothing like Alien, and I think that's cool. So I'm almost out of time, so check back regularly this week, as I'm going to be doing a lot of different videos about Doctor Who, talking about like all the different stuff that I like and all this different stuff that I don't like about Doctor Who, sharing some of my thoughts on that. I hope that your lives are going very well and that you'll be celebrating the Doctor Who 50th with me. Yeah, so I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.